Rise and shine, everyone. Today is Walkathon Wednesday, which is also the first day of February and also the first day of Black History Month. So I figured what better time than now to dive into LA's Black history and contemporary culture that thrives here today. There are a couple key neighborhoods in LA that really showcase Black culture better than anywhere else in the city. And these are going to be the neighborhoods of Leimert Park and Crenshaw. And of course, that's where we're going to be walking today. These two neighborhoods sit at the base of the Baldwin Hills, which if you remember from last week, Culver City sits on one side of the hills. Well, the neighborhoods we're going to be in today sit on the other side, and we're also going to walk up into the Baldwin Hills themselves. I'm going to do my best to give you guys a comprehensive overview of what LA's Black history looks like, as well as highlighting some of the cool stuff that you're going to find here today. So let's get started. Our walk actually starts in the South LA neighborhood of Vermont Square, where there is a high concentration of street murals by local Black artists. As I highlight some of these, we will first explore some history on the way to Leimert Park. LA's Black history dates all the way back to its founding in 1781. Of the city's 44 original settlers, 26 were of African descent. While non-whites routinely experienced discrimination and injustice, it was less imposed legally in California compared to the U.S. Remember, this was when California was part of Mexico. When California was absorbed into the U.S. in 1849, it technically did so as a free state, but barely. But free doesn't equal safe, and as more whites from the Southeast began migrating to LA, so too did their pro-slavery mindset. African American migration nonetheless persevered, as LA proved a place of opportunity to escape the violence they were experiencing in the Southeast. In 1866, Bridget Mason, born enslaved, became one of the first African American women to buy property in LA, a big accomplishment given the times. Bridget was also a nurse, and she won her freedom by petitioning the court during a case, stating that she didn't want to be forced back to the South. 1856, Mason versus Smith. This case set a precedent for racial equality in California, as the judge declared that she was entitled to her freedom being in a state where slavery was not lawful. Fast forward to Brown versus Board of Education in 1954. Segregation was still ever present in California as it had been everywhere else in the U.S. This extended to housing, which directly correlated to income discrimination. The 1965 Watts Uprising really brought racial tensions to the forefront in a rather violent fashion. But wait, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 necessitated equality, right? On the surface, sure. But that same year, California passed Proposition 14. This repealed the Rumford Act that prohibited housing discrimination based on race. Talk about a step backwards. Although Prop 14 was overturned in 1966, the fact that it passed in the first place showed how many whites remained resistant to racial equality. After the subsequent Watts Uprising, a result of frustration with this consistent inequality, both white and affluent Black Angelenos began leaving South LA. That's where Leimert Park comes in. This is the neighborhood that became the heart of LA's affluent African American community. The Watts events showed the need for Black political representation, and in 1973, that finally happened. Not only was Tom Bradley elected as the first Black mayor of Los Angeles, he also has the longest tenure of any mayor in the city's history. He served 20 years in office, from 1973 to 1993, and his focus on promoting civil rights policies is responsible for why LA has become so inclusive. Now, with that history overview, let's explore Leimert Park. Filmmaker John Singleton called this plaza the Black Greenwich Village. These are all Black-owned businesses, many of them featuring Afrocentric art galleries too. Let's take a closer look. Step into Haroon Coffee to start the day, or in our case, continue the day. I should also mention that all their donuts are vegan and delicious. Soul Folks is a vintage clothing and home goods venue built for emerging artists to have a retail space for their products. One could do an entire art walk of this plaza to appreciate the stories these murals tell. This one highlights key African American abolitionist figures like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. For good coffee, vegan soul food, live music, and an overall inspiring space, there's none better than Hot and Cool Cafe. The plaza really blossoms on Sundays, so next I'm going to hop into a flashback and show you footage from this past Sunday when I came here. Exploration of this area isn't complete without visiting on Sunday. From last Sunday, this is the pop-up African marketplace.
Take
Park is easily accessible via metro, one of the few places that is. We're leaving now and heading north. This is the colorful Crenshaw strip that will take us to the main Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. Some have called Crenshaw Boulevard the main street of Black Los Angeles. It's right next to Leimert Park. What's interesting here is that there is also a significant Japanese influence in this area. In fact, after World War II, Crenshaw had the largest concentration of Japanese Americans in the contiguous US. Crenshaw Square is a visible marker of Japanese history. Can you guess why? The sign is designed in the style of Shinto torii gates prevalent in Japan. In Japan, these gates represent the transition between the regular and sacred. Tax Coffee Shop. Opened in 1996 by Mary Shizuru, this was a significant meeting place in the square inspired by the area's original holiday bowl. Today, the cafe serves a mix of Hawaiian, Japanese, and American breakfast foods. Where else are you going to find that? Nowhere. Vegan Southern food is right next door. It was a special time when both Japanese and African Americans thrived together in this area. Although times change, you can still find pieces of this history, if you know where to look. Now we're at Macy's at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. Can you guess what's on the third floor? Well, you don't have to. It's a museum. It's open and free, but by appointment only, as I have learned. But you know what else isn't going to be open much longer? The entire Macy's store. Everything, including store fixtures, is on sale. Better go get those deals. Note that as of 2025, the Macy's store has now officially closed. We're back in the neighborhood, but which one? It's Leimert Park. While it borders the less affluent South LA areas like Vermont Square, this place remains as a middle-upper-class neighborhood. If you couldn't tell, there is a ton of history to this area that I am trying to summarize neatly. But for now, we are moving on, as there is one more neighborhood I want to show you for the day.
So we're back here at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. We just did kind of a loop around. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to walk straight this way up into the Baldwin Hills themselves. You can't really see from this angle. So here I think you guys can tell we're definitely going up an elevation right now. If I turn around, you can actually see downtown LA over there. So we're going up into the hills now.
This neighborhood, called View Park, has been nicknamed the Black Beverly Hills. Why? Because it's very wealthy and 90% black.
Here's a much better view here. We're a little higher, and it's a clear day, so you can even see the mountains in the background. So, very nice.
View at 10 times zoom. This neighborhood was home to celebrities like Ray Charles and Tina Turner. Here you can get a sense of the elevation as we start to head back down. That's Leimert Park Plaza.
Alright guys, we are heading down and back home. So that's going to be the end for today. Hope it was a fun adventure for you guys. Certainly was for me. And I'll see you next week.